So let's just go back a few years, 1976. Jimmy Carter beat Gerald Ford because we impeached Nixon. We filed the articles of impeachment for Richard Nixon, and it was because of those articles of impeachment why he resigned. Why did he resign? Because we impeached him. And then we got Gerald Ford. Oh my God, Gerald Ford was so much worse, but guess what? Gerald Ford couldn't do shit. Gerald Ford couldn't get nothing done because he had a Congress that just impeached his predecessor. Gerald Ford's in there for 2 years, and then you get the 1976 election, and guess what? After the debacle, after Nixon fucked the whole nation up, and then everybody let Nixon get away with his crimes because he cleverly, got a pardon or something. He did some weird shenanigans, and everybody's like, oh, well, he did some weird shenanigans. Oh, we'll let him off the hook. But essentially, the rule of law, meaning the president, Nixon, said that the president does it, it's not illegal because he's the president. By virtue of being the president, there's nothing that can be done that's illegal. So I am talking about the third-party candidates in 1976. Jimmy Carter beats Gerald Ford. So after the Nixon debacle, we get ourselves a peanut farmer. I actually saw an old commercial where Jimmy Carter was pushing for the decriminalization of marijuana. So because of the impeachment of Richard Nixon, we got ourselves a peanut farmer who wanted to decriminalize marijuana in 1976. And guess what? There were third parties. People like Hillary wants to blame Jill Stein and Gary Johnson. Well, Barack Obama already beat Gary Johnson and Jill Stein. How come Barack was able to do it, but Hillary couldn't? Huh. Okay, so Barack actually ran against, interventionism in the war, right? He stood up against the Iraq War. So nobody learned a lesson. Even actually George W. Bush ran against interventionism. He said we shouldn't be bullies in the world. So at least the Republicans are smart enough to know not to run on the war party, the war ticket. And Hillary said, what, it was a mistake? No, it wasn't a fucking mistake. It was, you have no moral judgment. Your morality sucks. You said, hey, Iraq war? Yeah, let's go kill 1 million fucking Iraqis. That made sense to Hillary Clinton in 2003. But let's go back to 1976. Jimmy Carter beat Gerald Ford, and there were 4 other independents, that major third parties that had run too. There's a guy named Roger, there's a guy named Bubar, Frank Ziedler, a socialist, and Eugene McCarthy, which I've heard his name before. He's from Minnesota. He's anti-war. So Jimmy Carter beat a principled Eugene McCarthy. He beat a principled Frank Ziedler, a socialist. And he had 4 third parties. And I don't know how much traction those candidacies actually gained in 76. But I bet you they gained more than the 1 or 5% that we saw Gary and Jill get in 2016. 2 years ago, by the way. So, if Jimmy Carter can beat Roger, Eugene McCarthy, Bubar, Frank Ziedler, and Barack Obama can beat Jill Stein and Gary Johnson and 2 other independents, and he had to run against Nader, too. Barack Obama was able to beat Nader. He was able to take on, he didn't blame, after he won, he didn't say, well, it was cousin Nader was in there. Oh, yeah, he took votes away. Get the fuck out of here. I can't stand that argument. It's intellectually lazy, it's dishonest, and it's anti-democracy. You're either one way or the other. Either you're for everybody running, or you're for some people running and not others. Either you're exclusive with campaigns. I think just your signature. You want to run, you're a candidate. And then we get to hear your ideas and see your platforms. And, if you're being serious, why would we not take you serious? Jill Stein, Jill Stein was saying shit that nobody else was saying. She even said shit that Bernie Sanders didn't say with the State of the Union address. She mentioned the arms buildup. The nuclear war is one of the biggest pressing issues that we're faced with right now. We're all going to die of nuclear because fucking President Dickface is playing with Twitter and he keeps trying to provoke war. The majority of the American people actually believe that Trump is likely to start a nuclear war. But you want to know something? Hillary was bigger war hawk than Donald Trump in Syria. She said we should have bombed all these targets in Syria without telling Russia. There should have been no cooperation whatsoever. So she's actually to the right of Donald Trump. Her warmongering would have been worse. she would have been worse. So is there any less chance of a nuclear holocaust with a Clinton administration than a Trump administration? I don't think so. So my main point, though, is that Jimmy Carter, Barack Obama, lots of Bill Clinton, anybody who's ever won a presidency beat third parties. Anybody who's ever won a presidency didn't just run against, I mean, there might have been some campaigns where there was just one opposition, one candidate. But to say that only elections, we only need 2 candidates for elections and that's it? Just 2 candidates and that's it, and you're fine with that. Nah, I'm not good with that. Anybody who wants to run can run, and if you want to blame other fucking people because your girl is in favor of war, death, destruction, no. She talked like a psychopath because she is a psychopath. Jill Stein talked very sweetly and nicely and gentle, and she said a lot of radical stuff, but she didn't say it with emotion. She didn't say it with great enthusiasm. She wasn't manipulating us by emotional appeals. She was manipulating us by logic, by just talking to us like we're human fucking beings and talking about issues that are important that might get her shot. Jill Stein stuck her neck out, and she might get shot for standing up against the military-industrial complex. I mean, MLK got shot. And the FBI were right there the whole time. The FBI. The FBI. Wait a second. Democrats love the FBI. But wasn't it? They were right there when Fred Hampton. They killed Fred Hampton. Flat out murder. Just straight up political assassination with Fred Hampton. So Jimmy Carter was able to beat a formidable Eugene McCarthy and Frank Ziegler, a socialist who usually the independents are pretty principled. So I bet you they took some fucking votes, right? Or if you're a Eugene McCarthy fan, then Jimmy Carter took votes away from your candidate. So either we're stealing votes from each other and everybody can run and everybody can take whatever votes, or only certain people can run and not others. When you insult or blame third parties. Yeah, Jill Stein got a couple votes in Michigan. Oh, that's the reason. That's the reason why Hillary Clinton was in favor of the war. That's the reason why she overthrew Honduras and Libya and Ukraine. That's the reason why she was for regime change and empire. That's the reason she voted for the Iraq war. And she was opposed to single payer. What happened to the 90s, Hillary? Where did she go? She was for single-payer universal health care, got bought out by the lobbyists. Now we got this empty shell, this right-wing shell, and we're supposed to pretend she's a progressive. She threw the progressive label away. She was basically like, yeah, I'm a progressive, but I'm a Republican. I'm a Republican progressive. Yeah, all right. So if Jimmy Carter can beat third parties in 76, if Barack Obama can beat third parties, and guess what? Donald Trump beat the third parties too. If Donald Trump can beat third parties, how come Hillary couldn't? Hillary's so damn smart and so much better and so principled. How come she lost? Donald Trump was speaking on behalf of working class people, working families, saying he was going to bring the jobs back. And that's the group of people that the Democrats have completely ignored and left behind. So if Jimmy Carter in 76 can beat Roger Eugene McCarthy, Bubar, Frank Ziegler, a socialist, if every single person who's ever become president can beat a third party, then the Democrats can offer a candidate that can beat a fucking third party. Oh, it's the third party. The third party got a few votes. That's not fair. The third party got a few votes, and that's not fair. Fuck you. You're not for democracy. You don't have any principles, so I guess I shouldn't be as shocked as I am. So to say, everybody belongs in the, if you're in the race, you're in the race. These are the same people that give Mike Gravel. Mike Gravel was a badass in 2008. But people give him shit. He was actually what? Opposed to the war, like you're supposed to be. And he ended the draft. So thank you, Mike Gravel, for ending the draft. And thank you, Mike Gravel, for showing us what the 60s and 70s were talking about. Every death, every person that died in Vietnam died in vain. All 4 million Vietnamese, all 75,000 American troops died in vain. There was no reason for it. We were in Vietnam to defend communism. I thought we're the great freedom, the beacon of freedom. But you can't even think as a communist. You can't even think that we should feed the poor. Can't think. Oh wait, you're thinking that we should feed the poor? Get the hell out of here. You don't belong in America. Don't think about feeding the poor. You gotta be a selfish prick. A selfish, greedy son of a bitch. This is dog eat dog. We're being run by criminal psychopaths. No wonder. Anyways, Jimmy Carter was able to be anybody that's ever won the fucking presidency. Anybody who's ever fucking won the presidency. Anybody who's ever won the presidency. Except for maybe 1 or 2. Beat third parties. You want to blame third parties? It's because you're crying sour grapes and you're a sore fucking loser. So, defeat is an orphan, right? Victory has 1,000,000 fathers. Defeat is an orphan. I don't like to beat up on Hillary, but I guess I'm kind of sick of running into Hillary Clinton supporters that did not learn the lesson of 2016. Your candidate sucked. She was for fucking war. But I guess if you don't have bombs dropping on you, you can go ahead and ignore that. Bill Maher was all about Jerusalem and Israel. He's not a Palestinian. He don't give a shit about the Palestinians. If you're a Palestinian, you can't tolerate this shit. If you're a person who's a victim of a war on drugs, if you're a person in poverty, if you're a person that's homeless, there's a lot of crises that are crises that's happening right now. And if you're a victim of these shitty policies, can you wait? Can you say, well, she's a little bit more liberal on guns? That's the saving grace, huh? Hillary ran as a conservative. He ran as very liberal. I mean, he actually talked about single payer. It was like, we might get single payer with this piece of shit. I have no idea if she'd extend Obamacare, but, let's get ourselves some single payer. So I think Trump is actually the only way we could actually get, not him giving us single payer, but disrupting the Democrat establishment so they don't consolidate all those policies, those drone strikes, killing innocents. He's the deporter in chief. Obama is 50-50. I'm glad we had a black man as president. And Obamacare was a step in the right direction, but we didn't get a public option. So it was a sellout to the private insurance industry. Give me a public option. Give me single payer. Give me an option. Yeah, choice. I love choice. I'd choose the government. It'd be cheap as fuck. It'd be like $5 compared to, $1,000 Aetna health insurance. So, in the end, fuck the war and fuck the draft. Peace.